readers, and welcome back. I am Mrs. Lamato here to talk to you about geometry. Today we're going to have our first of two lessons about triangles and how to classify them. That means like how to group them. Today we're going to talk about how to classify triangles by side. The other way to classify them is by angles, and we'll get into that tomorrow. So let's check out this video that will help us introduce the concept.
Now let's look at triangles. A triangle is a three-sided polygon. You can classify triangles by both the lengths of its sides and the measures of its angles, but we're going to first start by talking about the lengths of its sides. So first we have this triangle here. All three sides are of different lengths. When that happens, it's what we call a scalene triangle. Scalene means no sides are equal, right? When we get to a one like this, the next one, where sometimes you'll see marks like this, that means all sides are equal. When all sides are equal, we have an equilateral. Equal lines is what it literally means. And finally, when you have something that's similar, that has two sides that are equivalent where the last side is not, we call that isosceles. So an isosceles means that there are two equal sides in the triangle. Like I said before, you can also classify them based on their angles. The first one we have here is what we call an obtuse angle, or obtuse triangle. That means one angle inside, for this one, the case it's this one, is greater than 90 degrees. When that happens, it's an obtuse triangle. Obviously, the other two are not greater than 90. Then, if you have a triangle that has a measure exactly of 90 degrees, you have a right triangle. A right triangle is a triangle composed of one 90-degree angle. And finally, when all angles are less than 90 degrees, you have an acute. So all of these measures in here will be less than 90 degrees. And that's what an acute triangle would be. Now, when naming a triangle, you must name it by its angles and the length of its side. So as you can see in here, we have three acute angles and all the sides are equal. So we have an acute equilateral triangle. Whenever you have an equilateral, it's always going to be acute because it's always going to have the same measures throughout. 60, 60, and 60 in every single equilateral triangle, no matter how you draw it, how big it is, or how small it is. In order to find missing angles inside a triangle, we must understand that a triangle is composed of exactly 180 degrees. If it's 181 or less than that, or less than 180, it's not going to be a triangle. All right, it won't meet at all the tips. If it's less than 180, it will never meet and it'll just go on forever. If it's greater than 180, it'll meet at a point other than the tip of a triangle. So we know that the angles equal 180 when all added up. So we have 70 and 30 here, and we're missing this angle right here. So what we do is we take 70 plus 30 and we get our answer of 100. Now, like I said before, it's composed of 180 degrees. So then we take our 180 minus 100 to give us the answer of 80 degrees. So this last angle right here is 80 degrees. Now, this triangle isn't drawn to scale, just so we know that this is actually an isosceles triangle, so that wouldn't be the case. But just so you know, when you're given things such as this, when you're given two angles, the third angle, you just add the two angles together and then subtract that from 180 to give you your final angle.
So there was some additional information there that we're not necessarily going to need today. However, great information to have. We are really going to focus on classifying triangles by side today. So that means determining, are all the sides a different length? If so, it's a scalene triangle. Are all the sides the same length? If so, it's an equilateral triangle. We see the word equal in there. And are only two sides the same length? If so, that is an isosceles triangle. Sounds like a lot, but let's practice. Here's an image that helps us. Isosceles, we can see the two sides in purple are the same. Equilateral, we can see all three sides are pink because they are all the same. And scalene, none of the sides are the same. So let's try this. I know these words are a little bit tricky, but I think we'll do awesome with this. So let's look at our first triangle. Is this triangle equilateral? All sides are equal. Isosceles, two sides are equal. Or equilateral, all sides are equal. I'll give you a hint on number one. None of the sides are equal. Do you remember the word for that? Let's pause and discuss. If you guessed scalene for number one, you are right. None of the sides are equal. Now we're going to skip over number two because this page has right triangles on them, which is awesome, except we're going to get into that in our next lesson. So this is actually a right triangle. Let's just focus on equilateral, isosceles, or scalene for now. Let's look at triangle number three. Is this triangle scalene? No sides are equal. Isosceles, two sides are the same length. Or equilateral, all sides are the same length. I'll give you a hint. All those sides are the same length. Do you remember the word that goes with that triangle? Let's pause and discuss. Triangle number three was an equilateral triangle. Let's look at number four. Is this triangle scalene? None of the sides are the same. Isosceles, two of the sides are the same. Or equilateral, all of the sides are the same. I'll give you a hint. I see two sides that are the same. Do you remember the word that means two sides are the same? Let's pause and discuss. Triangle number four is an isosceles triangle. Let's try two more. Let's look at triangle number five. Triangle number five, is that scalene? No sides are the same. Isosceles, two sides are the same. Or equilateral, all sides are the same. I'll give you a hint. I see that none of the sides are the same. Do you remember the word for that? Let's pause and discuss. Number five is a scalene triangle. None of the sides are the same. Last one before we look at our Google form. Triangle number six. Is triangle number six a scalene triangle? None of the sides are the same. An isosceles triangle, two of the sides are the same. Or an equilateral triangle, all sides are the same. I'll give you a hint. I see two sides the same length. Do you remember the word for that? Let's pause and discuss. Triangle number six is an isosceles triangle. Two sides are the same. Today on your Google form, you will be determining whether the triangle shown is scalene, none of the sides are the same, isosceles, two sides are the same, or equilateral, all sides are the same. So here is our first triangle on our Google form. Down below, you'll choose scalene, isosceles, or equilateral. Here is our second triangle. Here is our third triangle. Here is our fourth triangle. Our fifth triangle. And our sixth triangle. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to check in with your teacher. All right, fourth graders, that's all for today. Until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.